Today, we're going to talk about a pretty wild idea that anything you could ever want in life isn't just possible, it's 100% achievable, but only if you follow 4 very specific rules.
No, really, just stop and think about that for a second. That person you want to be, that life you dream about, what if getting there wasn't some long shot, but was actually inevitable?
Of course, there's always a catch, right? And this one is the reason that pretty much 99% of people never even get close to their dreams.
See, to make your dreams inevitable, you first have to face down what this framework calls the 4 gatekeepers of life. You gotta think of it like a video game, a gauntlet with a series of levels you absolutely must pass to win the ultimate prize.
So, let's dive into level 1. This is the very first obstacle, and honestly, it's the one that stops most people before they even really start. It's called the comfort trap.
So who's the first gatekeeper? It's your own life, right now, as it is. It's kind of like when you're in a nice, warm shower, and you know you have to get out, but you just dread that little blast of cold air. Your current life might not be amazing, but it's good enough. And that comfort, that warmth, makes you completely unwilling to face the short-term hell that's required to achieve long-term greatness.
And that's exactly why the first rule is so blunt. You have to create your own fire, your own urgency. Stop clinging to a life that's just lukewarm. Sometimes you gotta be the one to turn off the water, force yourself out into the cold, just so you can find the motivation to move to the next level.
Okay, so let's say you do it. You step out of that comfortable shower. You immediately come face to face with a much, much bigger challenge, the endless grind. Think of this as the first major boss battle, and it's the one that defeats almost everybody.
So when things get hard, when that initial spark of motivation starts to fade, how long do you really think the average person can stick with something? A few months? Maybe? A year? The numbers are just brutal. Look at this. A full quarter of people give up on their New Year's resolutions after just 1 week. 1 week. Half are gone by the end of the first month, and after a year, barely anyone is left standing. The grind just completely wipes people out.
So what does it take to outlast literally everyone else? The data points to this magic number, 1,000 days. That's about 3 years. That is the kind of commitment it takes to reach a level of success that only the top 0.1% of people ever get to see. They even have a name for it, the 1,000-Day Club.
So rule number 2 is brutally simple, but it's the whole game. Whatever your goal is, you just do it, consistently, for at least 1,000 days. If you can just stay in the game when everyone else is packed up and gone home, you will eventually win, almost by default.
But okay, let's say you do it. You've beaten the grind, you're starting to see some real, actual success. Well, that's when you face the third gatekeeper, and this one is tricky because it's an internal enemy, your own ego.
This is when your ego starts whispering in your ear. When you hit a wall, it doesn't say, hey, maybe we should try something different. Nope. It points a finger at the world and says, it's not my fault. The game is rigged.
And then, that same ego makes you completely rigid. The very thing that brought you success now becomes your prison. You stop learning, you stop adapting, and you tell yourself, look, I can't change now. I've been doing it this way for 1,000 days. And finally, your ego just makes you dismissive of everyone else. You look at somebody new who's finding success with a different method, and you just shut them down. You start thinking, he hasn't struggled like I have. You feel like you've earned your spot, so you've got nothing left to learn. This is the perfect analogy for it. Your ego is like this magnificent sandcastle that you have spent so much time and effort building, but you built it too close to the water. And instead of moving to higher ground and building something that'll actually last, you waste all your energy trying to protect your little creation from the inevitable tide. You end up working way harder, not smarter. And that brings us to the third rule. You have to kill your ego. That means being willing to admit that even after all that work, you still know nothing. It means you're okay with looking dumb, with starting over, with learning from anybody, the intern, the new guy, whoever. You have nothing to prove, so all your energy can go toward finding what actually works.
Okay, so we've arrived at the final boss. You've escaped comfort. You've conquered the grind. You've killed your ego. What in the world could possibly be left? Well, the ultimate gatekeeper is you. It's your own self-belief.
At the absolute core of every great success story is something called the inflection point. You should think of this as the point of no return.
It's not the big victory party you see at the finish line. It's that invisible, private moment where you take a leap of faith, where you commit so completely that your success becomes inevitable. It's the moment nobody else sees, but it changes absolutely everything.
And this inflection point, it's always powered by something that looks like total insanity to the outside world. It's doing something a rational person just wouldn't do. It's Mr. Beast counting to 100,000 for 40 hours straight. It's Alex Hormozi walking away from a cushy six-figure job to build a gym from nothing. It is a level of commitment that just defies all logic.
When you cross that inflection point, you literally create two versions of yourself. There's the before you, the person who's rational, who has potential, and then there's the after you, the person who operates on pure, total commitment, making the outcome inevitable. The difference between the two is just astronomical.
So, the final unwritten rule to defeat this last gatekeeper is just this. When you arrive at your moment, at your personal inflection point, you cannot hesitate. You have to take that leap of faith. You just can't flinch.
And that's really the ultimate question, isn't it? So many people get right up to that edge, right to the brink of their own greatness, and then they pull back. They hesitate. They fade away. So the question I want to leave you with is this. When you finally arrive at your moment, will you flinch?